Very few of the ransomed ever knew how deep were the rivers crossed, or how dark was the night that some went through to get back what was lost. Welcome to Mississippi Panama Jack's Hope Shack. We're starting a new series. I hope, trust, and pray to have the privilege and honor, and I'm not just joking, it would be an honor to have you star in this new series called the Accompanier, one who accompanies or goes along with. Now, I wish I had a more acceptable accent for you to listen to, but since I have the accent that God gave me from down in Mississippi, I use the accent that I have. I wish I had a more delightful dialect, more pleasing to you. But since I have the dialect that I brought out of Mississippi, and it's kind of hard, you know, you can get the Mississippian out of the, how does it go? Dialect, but you can't get the dialect out of the Mississippian or something like that. But in this first clip or two, going to have to, right now, have to hold it under 15 minutes, so I don't know if it'll be one or two, because I don't really know what I'm doing. We're just flying by the seat of our britches here. We may have a note once in a while, but not very many. This first clip or two, I want to honor somebody. I want it to be a living memorial. Not a tradition, what do you call it? A tribute. I want it to be a living tribute to a young black man in Mississippi, 1960. I had finished seminary in 1955, had kind of set up headquarters back on my daddy's farm where he had sharecroppers. And I built a nice brick house by the grace and provision of God up on the high hill. But I had determined in seminary to be a missionary of sorts. I had volunteered for the Foreign Missions Program to go to Africa. And I had been active in the Lottie Moon Christmas offerings, sending money to Africa. But I had made a deliberate, qualified decision not to be a hypocrite and pray and work to get the folks in Africa into the kingdom of God and ignore all the black folks that I lived around. So I had a lot of black friends in Mississippi in 1960. I knew things going on in the black community that most of the black community didn't know, because some trusted me more than most. So I lived in this nice brick house up on the high hill, and this young, stout, black man with a family, wife and kids, just like I had a wife and kids. He lived on the little hill down in the field, a sharecropper. He was what this week or next week is going to be opening in theaters across the country, known as The Help. He was the help. Mississippi, 1960. He was shot in the back 5 times, fell in the streets on a hard, dusty clay ground, died there. Nobody helped him. Nobody even tried to find out who shot him. Left his wife and kids behind. So Mama had come up to the high hill where I lived and told me early on a Sunday morning, he's been shot, died in the street in his own blood. A day or two later, there was 1 grain of salt in a big, hot, black pepper shaker. Family and a few close friends, and 1 white guy standing in the back crying. My life changed that day. I stood there, mindful of all my benefits and my blessings, the life I had, the house and wife and kids on the high hill. And I prayed a funny prayer. It went something like this: Lord, this is wrong. This is so wrong. By your grace, help me to carry a double load from this day forward. 1 for me and 1 for him. 'Cause his life was cut too short. I didn't know how to explain that to my wife. Well, I didn't understand it myself. How could I explain it to anybody else? But my life changed and my determination was set by the grace of God to carry a double load, 1 for me and 1 for him. We went outside in the little graveyard out beside the church, took his remains through the gate, just not too far inside the gate, and put them in the cold, cold ground. The last time I was by, I couldn't even find a marker. The grass was grown up. I made my way over the rough ground, holes and humps with my crutches, but I couldn't find what I knew to be his grave. So I got as close as I could. And I stood for a long time and I prayed again. And oh, a groaning set up in my guts. And my will was reset by the grace and the power of God. Not to compromise on truth until the kingdom of God came on earth and the will of God was done on earth like it is in heaven. And I still couldn't explain it. I can't explain it now. How could I explain it then? So I want to dedicate this series, the Accompanier, to my friend, the one who once said, while we were pulling stumps out of the field, we had to make a pull with the tractor and then stop and cut the roots of the stump. And I was back home from college at that time, or seminary. And I said, Earl, oh, yeah. I said, Earl, we take turns. I'm not the white guy that has to be on the tractor. And will you please cut out this Mr. Pelham crap? I understand when we're out in public you have to do that, but we are not out in public. And he said, all right, Pelham, you stay on the tractor, because the way you cut roots, we will never get this stump out of here. So he commanded me on the tractor, and we got the stump out. And then there was the time my mama's stomach went bad, and she had to go an hour and a half from home for an operation, and Daddy had to go with her. She ended up having to have part of a goat stomach, so they were gone for days. And Daddy was milking, I guess, 20 or 30 cows at the time. And the first morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, I heard somebody whistling coming up out of the bottom. And Earl appeared in the door of the milking parlor. Thought you could use a little help. I said, well, he said, okay, I'll go back if you don't need any help. I said, oh, yeah. So we finished and we sent the cows on the way, and he left whistling. Said, I'll see you in the morning. Did that for a week. Wouldn't take any pay from me. So I thought, well, he'll take it from Daddy. Wouldn't take any pay for Daddy. Said I just wanted to help out. That was my friend, Earl Allen. No, not my friend, my buddy. Earl is my buddy, remembered forever. Love you, bro.